Welcome back, baseball fans, to the 1972-75 card set analysis. We're going to continue with this project we started last week. Well, this is the 1972 box. The 32 teams here, starting the American League East, working to the West. Then you have guys who've been previously put on waivers, released, not gotten into the league yet. And we analyzed the American League East and the American League North. Halfway through the American League, we're going to go into the American League Midwest and the American League West tonight. And this is before there have been any movement of players to this point. Just looking at what's come back before as the season ends. We're going to begin with the White Sox. So we start with Wilbur Wood, and this will be the card he gets bumped up to. He's a starter 8. Don't know how you could be a starter 8 when you throw 377 innings, but they did. They made him a starter 8, you big meanies. Well, you know what this means, folks? He can't pitch in extra innings anymore, based on my rules. Only my starter 9s can. But he can still pitch on 2 days rest. Actually, he pitched more on 2 days rest in 72 than in any of the other years in the timeline. Tom Bradley will be another keeper. Could be this card or a future one. Eventually he gets dealt to the Giants. He's still a White Sox here. Nice job 2 years in a row. No drop-off of significance for Bradley and Wood. They're looking really good with the starting pitching. Next up, Bill Melton's on the clock. A couple years to choose from here. He's got more homers, I believe, in 73. Yeah, here he misses time. So we'll probably not take this Bill Melton card. Then there's Walt Williams. This actually, he comports better in a platoon with Buddy Bradford with this card because he's better against lefties than he was a year ago. They went out in the offseason and traded for Jack Aker, and it frankly didn't work out. And now, instead with a 71 card. Now the 72 card is with the Cubs. It's got a good ERA. The card is not spectacular. Against lefties, though, what I do like about it is no extra base hits. So that's pretty good for a reliever there. Puts a lot of guys on for a reliever, though, in my opinion. Now we're starting to look at some guys they may not bring back. Tom Egan, they might actually put this guy on waivers. He doesn't do much anymore. He had a lot of power with his 71 card. Not so much anymore. And then when you get to the end of each of these stacks, you're going to see guys who already have a card in a future year, beginning with Stinson. We have a better card for him already. Same with Order. You get to see these cards when they were younger, not as good. And same with Ken Anderson. We have a 74 card, and this would have been a Giants card that we don't need anymore. But this is where we store those players in case we want to change our minds and go into their past and make them a younger player, which seldom happens, as it means that you've made a mistake by bumping him up to a future card when you should have stuck with the regular chronology. So that is the White Sox. Next team up in this division is the Royals. Royals have struggled for a few years now after really blazing in there with their 69 expansion and playing very well as soon as they got John Mayberry and so forth. But last 2 years, they have not played well. Splittorff, he will now be in the top 2 in the rotation, and this could be the year. 3 days rest with a 3.13 ERA. He was the number 3 starter. He could be bumped up to a 2. Cookie Rojas is going to take a little bit of a tumble with the stick. He was a 300 hitter, still has good defense, but now he's a 261 hitter. That's okay. Pat Kelly, not their property, possible trade bait, was their property, did play for Kansas City, then he went to the White Sox. Here he is. You'd think that the Royals and White Sox, being division rivals, wouldn't deal with each other. I'm not even sure the White Sox really need Pat Kelly. When you consider they still have Bradford Williams, Carlos May, and Ken Henderson in their outfield, plus Orta can play DH. Tony Muser and Dick Allen can also play first and DH. Not really sure they even want Pat Kelly. This is a great leadoff hitter card, though, at least against righties. Here's Fred Patek, and Still good defensively, only a single ace stealer, great base runner and bunter, but the batting average really takes a dump here. He's hitting .212 in a full season. I mean, against righties, you don't even want to start him. You just want to make him a defensive replacement. But if you're forced into starting him, hopefully you can bat him ninth. Maybe he can bunt or hit and run, because this is pretty bad for an everyday player. Josephson will probably be placed on waivers. There's a lot of catchers like this out there on the market. They don't really need him. He was a Red Sox with a .268 average. Popovich, also a waiver possibility. Nice little switch hitting infielder. Look at he's got power against lefties. That's actually pretty good for a switch hitting backup utility infielder to bring some power off the bench. Bad stick though. He's like a .217 hitter, 194. All right, so Mike Heedlin's starting to lose it a little bit. He's had some great years, not anymore. Just a starter 5.4. Yeah, that's not very good. Probably should let this guy go. Maybe to an expansion team, or he might be out of baseball. That's not very good. As a starter 5, I don't like. I put them in a bullpen, and as a longman, he's not very good. Ratio Pena can still pitch out of the bullpen. Did a nice job with his... Actually, we have a future card of him, I believe, a 73 card. So we could retro to this. And by retro, what I'm saying is, let's say we like a lot of players in the year of 1973. Where we already have Pena's card. We bump him back into the past into a 72, and then we can add an extra 73 card in our draft, and then next year you can bump Pena back into a 73 card. That's a strategy you can use to move the years around. Same with Otis. These are all guys who have future years. So Otis is in 73, hitting 300. This is still good, but not as much power as he would have. And that's the Royals. All right, next up, your Milwaukee Brewers. 2 years ago, they surprised everybody slipping in as a wild card. They were well over their heads doing that. This past year, they got knocked around, predictably. They did add Robin Yount, but he's still very green and not very good. So let's take a look at the Brewers here. So Ken Sanders has finally turned into a normal guy. This guy had an ERA below 2 for 3 years in a row, I believe. And now, in 92 innings, it's .313 with a 2-9 record. So they put him in a lot of those high leverage situations, and he just didn't do as well as a relief 3. Still pretty good, though. You got to watch those homers against left-handed batters there. But he'll come back, at least... Maybe not as a closer anymore. He can come back as a setup guy. Rick Reichert is a corner guy. Nice extra base hits here against lefties and walks. Doesn't need to be an everyday player, but he could. He's a 3 in left field. Was a White Sox. .251 hitter. Half a season. Production. At least a platoon. He'll be playing this year for somebody, whether it's Milwaukee or somebody else. You definitely want to get that production in there. And that's reasonable against righties because of the walks. Theobald, actually, his defense got better. His batting average dipped. He was .284 as a 3 at second base. Now you see the batting average is going to fall, but the on base will stick around. Yeah, he's hitting .220, but I call this a good .220. A right-handed batter who does better against lefties, predictable, but he still has enough walks against righties to not be too bad. Bat handler. A and a B, 2 defense. This is one of the, I always feel good about guys who hit .220. And is there a strategy to get him into the league? Absolutely. Defense, bat handling against lefties. He won't kill you against righties. Jestad hit .284 a year ago, I believe, and now he's hitting .246. It's also heavy against lefties, but he's got the power against righties. Not much versatility, and a 3rd. All right, for Gosi, might be running out the end of his rope here. .232. I think he's got a resurgence in 74, but otherwise, just a guy, we like to say. Sam McDowell, no longer the strikeout machine he once was. But on the other side of the picture, the walks aren't too bad. The walks are not too terribly bad there. 10-8, 434, and 164 innings. I think he's got a better card in a future year. Jerry McNertney, he is just a utility catcher at this point. He's serviceable as a 2, but he's just a 208 hitter. Only had 48 at-bats. We'd like to get these cards in the league if we can. Symmetry might be good. Would be one of the weaker catchers in the league, though. And now, these are some Brewers we have in a future year. Here's George Scott. We have him in his best year in 73. Colburn we have in 73. We got McMahon in 73 as a Giant with an ERA of 160. And that's the Milwaukee. Oh, sorry about that. We'll take a look at the Twins, and then I'll take a little break as we get to the American League West. But let's go take a look at the Twins first. Twins just missed the playoffs in a very powerful American League. Would you believe they had the same record that the Pittsburgh Pirates had? Yet the Pirates made the playoffs, went to the World Series, and the Twins didn't even make the playoffs. So Killebrew and Oliva was injured, I think, in 72. But Killebrew is getting up there. This card can make it. He's still around with 26 home runs. You get that in the league. Cardenas has, well, his defense has fallen from a 2 to a 3, and his bat's gone and the power's gone. He had 18 homers. Now he's down to 6. Tom Murphy has a future card where he's a very good relief pitcher. As a starter, he gets knocked around too much against lefties. Kirk Bleffrey, a left-handed hitting utility player with power and not a whole lot of else, but left-handed bats are always in need. Don't know if he's going to make it or not. We got Mitterwald in a future year where he can hit righties. Here he can. He only hits lefties. We have Caru's 354 card. This is only a 318, so we have a better card. Same with Soderholm. He's like a rookie here. We have him with a better card. That's the Twins. All right, we'll take a little break and bring you the American League West. All right, we begin with the California Angels at West. Sandy Alomar, 2 second basemen as a switch hitter. That's very serviceable. Nothing spectacular otherwise, but a steady player. He's a 239 hitter. That's going to be disappointing. But, you know, he handles the bat well. He's a 2. And he could bat second sometimes or bat ninth. But, he's got the plate appearances to make him an everyday guy. Tovar's getting older here. He doesn't play the infield anymore, which is disappointing. His outfield defense is not what it once was. And he's just not getting on enough. But he'll still probably get in the league somewhere. Paul Shaw will have a better card in 73. This one only gets 228. Known for on base. Mickey Rivers has a good future in Anaheim, but not in this year, in a future year. It's 214. Jay Johnston's not even the Angels' property. He might be dealt in the offseason. He was a White Sox, and he had 188, so I don't even think the White Sox want him. He will be sought after in the offseason free agency. Jim Spencer. He's not a 1 at first anymore. That's disappointing. And his stick is pretty bad here. Got to get him as a 1. Got to get him with some more power. Eddie Fisher. He is really getting up there in age. And as a reliever, he's okay against lefties. Doesn't go up extra base hits. Could be a situational long man. 389 ERA isn't too bad in 104 innings. Did that with the White Sox as well. The Angels might hang on to him. McLaughlin's a starter 7. Did it with the Reds for a World Series team. 9-8, 391. Probably not good enough for a World Series team in my league, you would think. He's not particularly fantastic in either side here. Is at least a starter 7. And now we have Bobby Valentine in a future card where he hits 300. Same with Richie Scheinblum. This is a good card, but we already have him hitting 328. No need to move him back to 300. And we got Bill Singer pitching 300 innings in a future card. Here, he must have gotten hurt, as he's under 200. That's the Angels. Now we're going to take our first look in the Dynasty, the official Dynasty timeline of the Oakland A's, even though I've been teasing the Dynasty for the last 3 years, as they were certainly good enough to win World Series with their 69, 70, or 71 group. So here's Oakland. Dick Green, now he missed time this year. Notice he's not a 2 anymore, but the batting average is good in a small sample. 286 hitter, just 42 at-bats. Do we want that, or do we want a 2 or 1 second baseman? I want the defense more than I want this bat, because it's okay. I mean, it's nice to have the on base and so forth, but I want a 2 second baseman if I can get it. Angel Miguel used to crush lefties. Now he's just good against them. Not bad. 246 hitter. He's okay. Not sought after. Handshake agreement. If nobody claims him, the A's might invite him back. Vida Blue, the subject of trade speculation here in 72. He comes back from his MVP season and goes 6-10 in 151 innings. ERA is good, but a significant drop-off. Got to watch this Bob Locker carefully. He now gets righties out, and the lefties give him fits. Don't know why this happened, but I'd be very shaky bringing this guy into a game. Locker has better cards coming up in 73 and 4 than this one, even though the ERA is good. Tom Haller's getting up there as a left-handed hitting catcher. Yeah, not enough power on base as he once had, just a 207 hitter. Now we're going to look at some guys. This is what I'm saying here. We have Tennis in a better year, and he's not good in 72. They won the World Series with a bunch of guys who didn't do very well. That included Tennis. It includes Bando. That's not that good a card for Bando. He hits 236. This isn't that great a card for Campaneris either. He hits 240 with it. Reggie in 72 is okay. Yeah, he's fine. But Reggie's better in 73. He hits 293 with 30 homers in 73. And he's not an ace stealer either. Raleigh Fingers is a great closer. He's also is a great closing card in the moving forward. So that's sort of what I was saying before, that Oakland may have won the 1972 World Series, but their players weren't particularly good. This is a team that I would not say is an automatic going to win the World Series. They can compete for it, but they're not that spectacular. I'll just give you that. One of the weaker World Series champions. All right, here's Seattle in 72. Skip Lockwood went to an all-star game as a starter. He can still start here. Did it with the Brewers. That's fine, but doesn't pitch on 3 days rest. Steve Klein was a Yankee, and this is a great card as a starter. 8? You kidding me? If I'm the expansion Mariners, I'd love to have this guy. Look at that. 240 ERA, taken away from the Yankees. Luke Walker was the long man. He could be long man again. That's not bad at all for a lefty. If this guy was righty, I would say I'd be on the fence. But as a lefty, this guy's practically a lock to get in the league with a 3.39 ERA because he throws left-handed. He'll be a long man, and if there's a team desperate enough, they'll make him a starter. Joe Pep's finally turning mortal here. He's had a year with a bunch of homers. He had a year with a 300 batting average. Now he has neither. Now he just has 8 homers and a 262 average for the Cubs. And he can't play center field anymore. But that's solid. That's solid production for a first baseman on an expansion team. Ron Woods, nice card for him. Really hits lefties well with plenty of power. Good defense. You could push him into an everyday player, though he's weak against righties. This is probably like a 262 hitter. 258, close enough. You see, not a full season, but you could push him into a full season if you were desperate enough because of his defense. Philippe Alou, mostly a singles hitter now, but he hits righties very well. Another guy you could put in a platoon, push him into a full-time role as a 278 hitter. But again, a corner outfielder, at least Woods gives you the power you like. Alou does not, nor base stealing either, and a weak throwing arm. All right, Jim LaFay's getting up there as your utility knife infielder, second, third base with some power off the bench as a switch hitter. Love to see the power both ways. For your utility player, wish he could play shortstop for 5 minutes. He doesn't. 201. And we have Bill North with a future card. Chris Arnold, a future card that hits 290. Fred Norman, who is the Cincinnati Reds have been banging on the phone asking for their player back. He was a Padre here. But moving forward, the Reds want him, and the Mariners might deal him for assets. They could certainly use good stuff. Seguy's got a future card. This is a good one, but they also have another card. Seguy will always be good against lefties. Nice card there. Did it with the Cardinals. Alright, we got one more team to do in the American League, and then this video will be concluded. Your Texas Rangers, Washington Senators. I think we can officially erase the Washington Senators moniker now, as it is 72. And yeah, they are the Rangers. So Jack Billingham could be trade bait as well, as the Reds want to pursue him. Paul Lindblad's the prize of this team, and he was not on Oakland yet. And look at the great card this is. So you definitely got to keep this guy away from the Oakland A's, or you got no shot if you're the Rangers. You can't let a division dynasty rival get him. Could you imagine Lindblad and Fingers in the same bullpen? That's going to happen in the future, but for now you got to hold on to him. Dick Bosman used to pitch on 3 days rest, was 14-2 in 69. Now he's sort of a mixed bag here. He's still a quality pitcher. Starter 6. A quality starter 6, probably a number 3 or number 4 in the rotation. Gogolewski, Longman. Here's the starter 6. He's okay. Right there, just a little bit beneath the Bosman card. Matter of fact, you could say Bosman was the 5th best pitcher. Gogolewski was the 7th best pitcher based on the ERA. And between all of them is Broberg, who was the 8th best pitcher on that team. These guys, by the way, I know they're all Rangers, but if you're bullish on the Rangers and you say, I think we can find better guys than this, go get them. Because there are expansion teams that would take these guys. Dave Duncan, what a fun catcher with the power. I know the batting average isn't particularly good, but look at all the home runs for a catcher. 19 of them with a 218 average. I don't care. I want that. I want good defensive catcher with a bunch of home runs. I'm not too concerned about the batting average. Frank Howard's getting up there now. He's at the end of his career. He did this with the Tigers. And yeah, he could be a designated hitter versus left-handed pitching. And now we have some guys we have with future cards. Toby Harrah, this is a nice 72 card, but he's even better in 73 and 74. Same with Dave Nelson. I think he gets 300 with a future card in this one. Tom Grieve also is hitting 300 for the Rangers, so no reason to go to the past. You see all these young guys here, and look how bad they were. And Len Randall, look how bad he is. He's got a 300 card. So you see all the young kids, those last 4, are all going to be important players to the Rangers moving forward. All right, and that's it tonight. Looking at the American League. We've looked at the entire American League in the year of 1972. We'll start with the National League in 1972 next week. Thanks for checking out the card set analysis video. We'll see you next time.